It's me. Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in with us on day 2 of our Student Connections virtual programming. We're so grateful to have 4 amazing marketing executives from the Western New York area and beyond with us today to share about their experiences, how far they've gotten in their careers thus far, and to give us some advice for what we can do to position ourselves to find jobs that we would like and navigate in our future career paths. So I would ask that all of you please take a few minutes to introduce yourselves to us, your name, what you're working, where you're working now, and any unique tidbits about yourself. So Greg, would you like to go first?
Sure. My name is Greg Hennessey. I am an account director with Marketing Tech, a marketing services company. So what we do is we help facilitate companies getting their message out into the marketplace through print, direct mail, website development, hosting, promo items, all that good kind of stuff. I have a background. I went to school for graphic design and got out of school. I'll divulge my age in 1986. So before technology happened. So I've had the privilege to grow up with technology and learn. And we have been pivoting in this industry long before COVID due to technology. So there's been a lot of changes in the industry and how things are done. And I am kind of in the marketing area because as technology has changed printing and graphic design and gone into multiple different channels, if you will, with social media and websites and different things that all kind of start with data and graphics. That's kind of where I've gotten to where I am now. So I'm on the front end with the client, so I can talk the talk. And years ago, that's how I got out from behind the computer into the sales world, because as technology changed, the company I worked for at the time needed someone who could actually go out and actually talk the language and work with clients and work with art directors and creatives to understand what they wanted so that we could interpret properly to our people, especially I was in the pre-press business at the time and did some pretty cool projects back in the day, including all the pre-press for all the Harry Potter books. So that's a fun story for another day.
Well, thank you, Greg. And now we have ladies, the 3 J's. So Jenna, would you like to introduce yourself to us next?
Yes, absolutely. Well, first, thank you for having me. Very excited to be here. My name is Jenna Chouinard, and I'm the owner of JC Marketing Group, which is a marketing agency out of Poland, Maine. So I'm probably the only Mainer here, but I launched my business 5 years ago, just about as soon as I graduated college with my marketing and business administration degree. And I have been self-employed ever since. I work with a variety of small businesses across the country, serving as a fractional marketing executive for those looking to outsource all of their digital marketing needs, which means I handle anything from the overall brand strategy and positioning to consistent execution of leading digital tactics, such as like targeted email campaigns and newsletters, social media, website development, blog writing, creation of brand collateral, press releases, basically anything digital marketing, you name it. I've been lucky to get my hands on over the years and kind of really hone in on what drives the best results. So I mostly serve the technology industry, but I also have clients that are in the nonprofit, education, and retail sectors as well. But again, very excited to be here and dive deeper into the discussion.
Awesome. Thank you, Jenna. Next up, Jessica.
Great. Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm Jessica Amico, and I currently work at M&T Bank in their marketing department. I'm on the brand integration team, so I've been helping to brand local branches. There's about 1,000 branches for M&T, so working more on the branding front. But before that, I was in more of the digital marketing realm at a nonprofit. And so I did a lot of websites, social media, emails, you name it. At a nonprofit, you wear a lot of hats. So I've gained a lot of experience through that. And then also have done some freelance work. So have learned a lot along the way through experiential learning. And that was a big part of my college education too at Drexel University in Philly. A big part of it was doing full-time internships during the program. So experiential learning is kind of my jam.
Awesome. We'll probably have you speak more about that later. Thank you, Jessica. And last but not least, Jill, please introduce yourself to us.
Okay, hi Amanda. Hello everybody. My name is Jill Pawlik, and right now I am the owner of Jill Pawlik Strategic Marketing. But the road here was interesting. When I graduated college, I was an English major and wanted to be a journalist. So I did that for about 15 years in Connecticut, where I grew up. And then had an opportunity to start writing on the side for some organizations, and such as like newsletters and their website content. And I really enjoyed that. And I kind of got a little tired of the daily grind of a daily newspaper and that kind of thing. So I was like, I kind of got bitten by the PR bug. So I went to the dark side and worked in PR for many years, moved here during that time, and saw that, you know, if I really wanted to keep learning and keep advancing in my career, PR typically is under the umbrella of marketing. So I was always reporting to a marketing director. So I said, well, that's, you know, that's where I want to be. I want to be like the head of marketing. So learned a lot, worked at several places, most recently at Uniland for almost 8 years as their marketing director. Awesome experience. But I was looking for something that would really challenge me and would be really fitting for me. And a lot of my mentors and colleagues, it really encouraged me to start my own consulting firm, which really scared the heck out of me. So bravo to Jessica for doing that right out of college. I would never, ever have thought of that. So I finally, you know, pulled the trigger on that. And I love it. I will probably never go back to working for somebody else again. My niche is, as the name kind of tips you off, is strategic. So it's really taking their business plan and creating a complementary marketing strategy to support that business plan. And then, of course, taking that deeper dive and crafting a marketing plan to execute all the principles that will help them achieve their goals. And then, so that can be pretty much anything similar to what Jessica said and what Greg said. I have some great partners in the community that I work with because I am not a web developer. I'm not a digital expert. So I work with some great people in Buffalo for that. But right now I'm just loving the clients that I have and putting out, you know, a couple proposals a week. So it's been interesting to find the time to work on my business. While like I'm the one saying, oh, you have to post a blog every month. And then I'm like, crap, I'm like 3 months behind on my blog, you know? So little things like that, you know, I've got to figure out.
Oh. So interesting to hear you started out completely not doing marketing and doing something else. So a lot of students I work with are really undecided, even if they're business majors or marketing majors, and they're kind of just unsure where to go and where to start. So now thinking in hindsight about your experiences up to where you are now, what would you tell your younger self about your career choice now?
Well, I was a writer, and so I knew I wanted to be a journalist, and I feel extremely grateful that I got to do that job for 15 years and loved it. And I'm happy that I'm in a path that I can still write, you know. So I think that is the most important thing, is finding, you know, they always say, do what you love what you do type thing. So even though the name might change or like the color container that it's in might change, as long as you're still doing, you know, something that has to do, like with Greg, you know, he was a graphic designer and he, you know, is still in a very creative space. You know, writers are very creative. I'm still in extremely creative space. So I would say just keep pushing, keep pursuing that. You know, my mom, my mom would cry sometimes when I was in college because she'd say, you don't want to teach English. So, what the heck are you going to do with yourself? How are you going to make a living? And I'm like, I'm going to be a reporter, Mom. And she's like, they don't make anything. I'm like, well, no, not a lot of people make a lot of stuff when they first, get out of college, figure it out. So, you just figure it out, but it's important to nurture what your passion is, and don't worry about the title or exactly where it is yet. Just keep pushing forward and making sure that you're doing something you love.
Yes, good advice. Does anyone else want to pop in on that question about what you would tell your younger self?
I would just say, for me, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do with my career. I, really didn't know much about like any type of profession I'd really be interested in. When I was a kid, I always used to say, oh, I want to be an actress or something like that. And then I'm going to college and I'm like, I don't know, I guess I could go that direction, or I could just learn like a practical skill set like business and marketing and see where it takes me. So I would just say, trust that you're going to get where you're supposed to be, no matter where you start.
Definitely good advice. I know Lindsay wrote, it's important to follow your passions in your gut. Agreed. Jenna or Greg, any commentary on that question about looking in the past or advice for college students?
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, I would tell myself, just keep putting yourself out there, keep learning. Marketing is always changing and it's really important to stay in the know. And so I think that personal development side of it just helps even in the day-to-day things, like with the creativity for content generation and just everything that we've talked about so far. So the learning obviously shouldn't stop after college. So that's just a good reminder. And it's something I love I get to do in my agency because I work with so many different types of people and teams. But I can definitely relate to Jill that sometimes I find myself, working so much for the clients and not so much on my own business too. So taking that time aside to focus on personal development is huge.
Thank you, Greg.
I would say I'm kind of the oddball in the group because I've been doing what I wanted to do since I was 16. My after school job was silk screening t-shirts and creating artwork and working in a dark room, and I still sell t-shirts and silk screening and know how the process works. So 40 some odd years later, and but I've always just dove into and as I mentioned earlier, I started as graphic design and now I'm here helping people with marketing. So for me, I would say get involved in groups. I got on a lot of boards and worked on boards and got on committees like event planning committees. I was the events chair on the Buffalo Music Hall of Fame, which planning events was not my forte and was not my strong suit, but I learned how to do it very quickly. And especially, putting all the pieces together and crossing T's and dotting I's, that was very, very important. So I've always tried to get on boards that I had some interest in what that nonprofit was about, but inserting myself into an area that wasn't kind of what I did during the day to help develop different skills along the way. So that's kind of a free education that I've given myself over the course of my career.
Yeah, that aligns with what Jenna said about just keep learning. I'm definitely an advocate of lifelong learning and just doing things that will build transferable skills too, especially for people who are really not sure where they're going to end up.
Right.
Cool. So can anyone speak on a pivotal moment in their career journey?
Yeah, I can kick that one off.
Okay.
I would say the most pivotal moment for me was taking the leap to start my own consultancy. So when I was in college, I had 2 internships. One was working for a Fortune 500 company where I worked on a marketing team of probably 20 plus people. And then the other was a small business where I was the only marketing person for a company of about 75 people. And so I think that contrast of just experience kind of really helped me learn how to wear several different hats and be responsible for just a lot of different marketing activities, which then in turn equipped me to launch, my own agency. So I'm very grateful and always encourage hands-on experience to learn like what you don't like, and where your skill set is the best value, because that helps shape me to be able to be fully confident in taking the leap to launch my own agency and serve my own clients as well.
Excellent. Yeah, there's opportunities that we take on that we don't always love, but we still learn from them. So I'm glad that you said that. And I always tell students to try to take advantage of as many internships as possible, and not just the one in their last semester and their senior year, trying to diversify experiences.
Absolutely.
Yes. Can anyone else want to share about a pivotal moment in their career search or just in their career thus far that they want to highlight?
Yeah.
I think for me, one of my pivotal moments was when I joined the board of the Buffalo Music Hall of Fame, because it was it was a dark part of my life. I had gone through a divorce, and things were kind of down, but I have a real love for music. And again, getting on that board, I worked with people who were in the radio business for years, and I learned a lot about PR, and people taught me about writing press releases and the events planning, and being involved in that. And of course, I just was able to network. That's also a very, very important thing to do, especially if you're young, is just get out to everything you can do and meet as many people as you can, because the old adage of it's not what you know, it's who you know is absolutely 100% true. And I certainly did. I met many people and learned a lot of things. And now it's developed into, I am an on the side podcaster, podcasting about musicians. So, again, at my age, I'm learning another new skill and figuring out how to interview folks and edit it and get it up online and do all this technology stuff. So, but it's where it's at, and it's certainly helping me. So that kind of one spot where, and just because I'm an Elvis fan, that's kind of how it started. So
Awesome, thank you. Jessica, were you saying something?
Yeah, so I think for me, at my last job, I found myself needing to advocate for things. In my internship experiences, it was kind of like, this is how much you're going to get paid, and this is how, very structured. Whereas at my old job, I was there for 4.5 years, and over time, it kind of taught me to be like, oh, you know what, I think I really have earned a raise, and kind of taught me skills like that you don't really learn a lot about in college sometimes. So just knowing that you're always your own best advocate. So whether you're advocating for more money or advocating for just what you're really good at working on, or what maybe you don't love working on so much, just really that communication, I think, helped me to feel more confident in my skill set and my career in general. And I think that communication and advocating for yourself is super important in your career.
Definitely well said. Thank you. Jill, anything else to add at this point?
Yeah, I would like to add, definitely similar to Jenna's story, where I had actually taken another corporate position after Uniland. And I just knew within the first couple of weeks that it didn't feel right. I was like, no, I can't do this. I can't do this corporate marketing life anymore. And that's when, it clicked for me that, okay, enough's enough. I need to start my own consulting firm. But one other thing I wanted to share that happened earlier in my career, probably about 10, 11 years prior to that, was unfortunately my mom was dying of dementia, a very kind of rare form of dementia. I was working at Blue Cross Blue Shield at the time, and I was kind of paralyzed with this fear that if I left my job to take like Family Medical Leave Act to be with her and help take care of her, that I would never work again. I just had this weird thing in my head. And my boss at the time, who became a very close mentor of mine in later years when I sought her out, she said to me, don't you worry about that. You are always employable. You have skills, we talked about as long as you keep learning, putting yourself out there, whatever. So I did, I took that leave, and, you know, unfortunately my mother passed just, you know, within a few weeks, and I was able to, you know, come back to my job, and it was like, nothing really kind of skipped a beat with that. And so I think that just taught me that, you know, there's a lot more important things out there than your job. Even though, you know, I was definitely raised like, you know, work is number one and you drop everything for work, but certainly family and, you know, a sick, you know, your sick mother that you're extremely close to is, you know, takes paramount. But I just didn't even think like that would be possible. So that was a pivotal moment for me, realizing that, oh, even if I don't come back here, I'll just get another job. Like, who cares? I only have one mother.
Yeah, so I feel like you brought up something a lot alluding to work-life balance. So, you know, I tell students when they're looking for jobs to, you know, see how they would fit in an organization's culture, and if they're going to be able to pursue other passions and, you know, be involved with their families and things like that. So students always have to consider other sides besides just being focused on work. So thank you for bringing that up. So now just kind of some kind of questions about how marketing has been. What have been some trends that you're seeing lately that, you know, basically a college student applying to jobs would want to make sure that they're aware of to speak about in an interview? So you can cover like experiential content, social media, anything you think is relevant to speak to.
I'll tackle
Okay,
that.
good. Thank you.
I would say to any student out there, there is no one method of marketing that is the method to market. Everyone gets their information differently. And it's not just us old guys do things old school, and kids are doing things digitally. It's a lot of different things, and I think it's even the opposite. I think the younger generation wants analog stuff. They grew up with digital stuff, and they want physical things. I'm a big vinyl record collector, and one of the largest groups of vinyl collectors are young kids because they want that experience. So I would say, you know, and like I said, I started out just in print. I mean, print was print, and there wasn't social media. There was radio and TV, but that was about it. I mean, there was not a lot of channels, and now there are many, many, many different channels. And don't think that you don't have to focus on one, or that's not going to work. I have a relative who got into the graphics business and says, I don't need to learn how to design websites. And now he's driving a truck because he didn't make himself marketable. You know, he wanted to design music posters and movie posters, and I laughed at him, not to be disrespectful, but I said, yeah, you and everybody else in the world. And if you're paying attention to the music business, the people making music posters are the musicians themselves because they don't have any money. So, you know, I would just say, keep an open mind, learn. I think there's a common denominator already, which is learn. And, but don't pigeonhole yourself and think that one way. I mean, you never know what's coming down the road tomorrow, which is the next. Like I said, I started before the internet was even a thing. So, you know, I've gone through a lot of different change, and, you know, the Adobe Photoshop, I mean, things were done so differently when I started in the industry. So I've seen a lot of change, and there's still going to be a lot of change. And who knows, you know, where social media is going. I mean, look at what TikTok's done. I mean, I don't think people would have even imagined what TikTok would have been, you know, 2, 3, 4 years ago. You know, Facebook, and, you know, Facebook's it. Well, and then what's going to be the next TikTok, you know, so just keep an open mind. Excuse me.
Yeah. Well said, Greg. Thank you.
Yeah, I would echo that, actually. Yeah, I agree with Greg. I mean, I'm always preaching with marketing that it needs to be that multi-channel approach. So I've learned to, only work with businesses if they are a good fit by understanding the importance of having like a full marketing engine. And of course, a lot goes into that. But even since the pandemic, there's been that digital transformation more than ever before. And a lot of businesses are rebranding or just kind of still reassessing their digital presence in general. So I'd say some of the biggest trends are still, supporting the hybrid work environment. Anything to do with remote work is a hot topic right now. As well as like timely and targeted campaigns. Like right now, with it being end of year, it makes sense to do some like end of year promotions, or in the giving season, get more involved with showing like the human element of your business. And the content that resonates the most in my experience is speaking to how you solve someone's pain points and really showing your positive work culture and your team. And it should be simple for your audience to understand that. And if you lead with that, you'll see a lot of growth, and the growth will naturally come. So that's what I've been leading with. It's kind of like the human aspect of marketing.
Excellent. Thank you, Jenna.
I would say for college graduates and young professionals, to really align yourself with somebody who is in business already, or somebody who's in the field that you want to be, and ask them for help. We're all in BNSME, and I think in Buffalo in general, very willing to help mentor people and introduce them to other people. We bring guests to our BNSME events to introduce them to certain people that are going to help those young professionals. So, but they have to want to do it, right? And so even, learning from other people, well, how do you network? Like what's appropriate for, like, how do I reach back out? Or what, I'm working with a young man who graduated like 4 years ago now, and he's not able to find a job in his field because it's not popular here in Buffalo. It's popular in LA. But there's reasons why he can't go out that way. So working with him on, trying to just pace yourself, keep at it, and find a network of people that can support you in your job search, in expanding your network, so that you find out about things sooner. I think that's really important and invaluable. And in terms of experience, I think, you've got to be a utility player. But I do see the pendulum swinging back to jobs that are looking for very specific focus. And I would say 9 times out of 10, that's a digital marketing expert. And even that covers a lot. But most companies still don't know how to do it or do it well. So that's what I tell college students who want to be in marketing. I say, look, you can go online and get Google certified in everything, analytics, ads, and you can even do a HubSpot certification. You can do all these certifications to really position yourself before you even land a job. Get that stuff on your resume and know how to do it, and you'll have definitely a leg up.
Well, that was leading into our next question, but I'm glad you did speak to the power of networking and mentorship. Definitely, young professionals want to be looking into that. And we just had a LinkedIn session before this and a networking session yesterday. So all good things that are all aligning together cyclically here. But I did have another question to run by everyone. What are some hiring trends that you're seeing now for marketing specifically? Jill kind of talked about that, but.
Yeah, so I would just say that I hired an intern at my last job. So just from like that experience in general, I was really looking for someone who was just open-minded and, had certain skill sets, but also like, I'm trying to think, basically, like my job now, I found through LinkedIn. So I think something that stood out about my intern was that she had a LinkedIn presence and she had a website with her resume and previous experiences on it. So I think if there's any way for someone to kind of like stand out in that kind of way, just those two things alone are really good tools to have. But yeah, I think also I've noticed a lot of freelance jobs can turn into full-time positions. So just being open to if someone needs like 15 hours a week as a social media person, maybe being open to that while you're looking for a full-time job, because a lot of the time they want to hire you after that.
I would say to anybody out there, take a good look at your social media and scrub it, please. There's a lot of stuff on there. We do look. When I get someone who requests to be a friend, especially on LinkedIn or an associate, I look at their Facebook profile. I look at their LinkedIn profile. I look to see who they are. And help determine if they're a real person, and or if this is someone that I want to align myself with. You know, I have noticed, especially with a lot of young people, and I'm sure those of you who are watching this are not in this group, but show up, come to work hard, ask questions. It's a privilege to work. And I say this as someone who grew up, with parents who gave me a very good work ethic and was delivering newspapers when I was 10 years old. It's not easy. There's a long line behind you of people who want your spot. And yes, you might be I took the path of staying at one company for a long time and learned a lot that way. And there are people who go from one company to another and learn, and neither way is better than the other, but just make sure that you are keeping your personal profile, like Jessica said, professional, have a website. And if you want some real privacy, make sure that you've got a lot of locks on a lot of those, frat parties from college, because it will bite you in the behind.
Great advice there, Greg. Anyone else want to speak about other trends? Or we can go into kind of what Jessica was already covering. How can students differentiate themselves from their competition? What else can they do to stand out? I know we both talked about social media, having a strong, positive professional presence, but anything else that we can give advice to students to be working on? I also liked those certifications that Jill said that people can pursue, but anything else that you would like to highlight?
Yeah, I would say Greg took the words out of my mouth. The best thing to do is equip yourself with experience, like we talked about, the internships, part-time, full-time roles, but really always focus on your personal, unique brand. And so I really do think LinkedIn's the #1 tool, and it's a fantastic tool to help build up your personal brand, kind of showcase your skill set. Even sharing articles to your LinkedIn network that you find interesting, or sharing testimonials of people who have worked with you, just that consistently of putting yourself out there about like anything that speaks uniquely to you will go a long way, because there's still a lot of people that aren't doing that.
Right. And I think people buy from people they like, they hire people who they like. We all are like that. So make yourself approachable. One thing that's fun, I have my own personal brand, and that's I wear these bowling shirts, or people say it's Charlie Sheen, but Elvis was wearing these a lot before Charlie Sheen was. But there's not many folks out there doing it. And when I've been at a BNSME event without this, I had one guy say, "Greg, is that you? You're not in uniform." You develop your own persona so that you can stand out in the crowd. And isn't that what marketing is all about? Is there is so much noise out there right now that really developing that personal brand. And I was very kind of proud to David Nasca, who's the president of Evans Bank, pulled me aside after the the last event the BNSME had, and he says, Greg, I just want to tell you something. He says, every time I come to an event, you are always dressed real sharp and you always look nice. And I think there's a lot to be said for that. Even as a musician, nothing bothers me more than to see somebody up on stage who looks like a slob. It bothers me. Come to work like you're a professional. You can be casual. There is business casual, but there's a difference between being casual and comfortable and not and looking like you don't really give a darn. So I would say really keep your personal approach and how you look is important. And especially we're marketers. Looks are everything, man. You might not want to think about it. When I was young, I'm like, oh, you should like the person for who they are, not what they look like. And as you get older, you learn that that's not the case, because one of the things that I've learned with websites is 90% of an audience will leave a website within 2 seconds if they don't like the way it looks. So looks are very, very important, and how you are perceived by how you look and carry yourself.
Very well
I'd
said.
like to add that, when I think back about hiring interns and hiring for full-time positions, that I definitely look for, just people that have a nice personality. And, you can still be introverted, but know how to come across, how to have a conversation, how to have eye contact, how to smile. And, if you have any like extracurricular activities, like sports, or, you played an instrument, that says something to me, like, oh, you know how to work within a team, because that's really what a lot of work is you're with other people and you have to work together. Yes, you have your own job, but you have to work together with others and people who many times are not like you. So you have to be, open and amenable to, getting past things if you don't just like the way they are in honor of the work. So that's just one other thing I wanted to share is, definitely hype up your, maybe you don't have a lot of work experience, but if you have extracurricular experience in college, definitely talk about that and what that taught you and that. And I agree with Greg, you need to dress for the part, and then, don't just show up. If you get the job, then, you like show up in pajamas. Like, it's not like that.
Excellent. So I know we can wrap things up, but just really any last pieces of advice to kind of share that hasn't already been said. I feel like we've covered a lot of ground.
Yeah, I would just say that it's really easy to get overwhelmed. Like we give you all this advice and then you're like, okay, I have to make a website. I have to get a LinkedIn. I have to get good clothes. I have to do all these things. But really just like, as long as you're putting in the effort and going with like where you think you want to head in your career, like just do your best and like, don't worry about perfection. Just worry about like putting yourself out there and being open to opportunity.
Trusting the process a little bit, as long as there's some kind of strides in the right direction.
Yes. Yeah, and there's also a lot of really great career coaches here in the area who focus on college grads and young professionals. Kathy Lanzalaco from Inspire Careers comes to mind. She has a program just for that demographic. So, if you're having trouble, like my friend is, he signed up with her so that she could help, guide him a little bit more in how to do the job search. If you have a field of interest that's not prevalent here. And there are so many free resources available online, on LinkedIn, not, most people aren't born knowing how to network. So, you can read tons of articles on them. And again, reach out to somebody, maybe it's a friend of your dad's, that works at a bank that is in marketing, those are like low hanging fruit, and ask, can you introduce me to so-and-so? Or do you think it'd be weird if I called them and said, hey, can you help me? I have this marketing degree or a business degree with a concentration in marketing, and I'm not really sure what to do. That is, people are very willing to help.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I love everything that was mentioned here. It's interesting to hear how there's a lot of similarities, even though we're all coming from different backgrounds and journeys. And I can't emphasize enough, just never stop challenging yourself. So don't stay in your comfort zone. Marketing is a very fun world to be in, and I recommend it to anyone, but you have to be up for the challenges and be able to adapt and work well with others. And that can be really rewarding in the end. So if it's the right fit for you, if it's meant to be, just have fun and be purposeful with it.
Yeah. And I'll just reiterate again, if you can get involved in a nonprofit, with an organization that does something that you really care for and it's like your passion, get involved, because there's a lot of professionals on those boards that you can really learn a lot from, and get some really good free education through that, and have somebody mentor you. So that's certainly what I did on the Music Hall of Fame board. And
if the board, if the board seems too intimidating, because I know for sure it would to me at a young age, like I probably didn't even realize boards existed, become a member of whatever professional field that you're in, such as we have BNSME, there's PRSA. So I'm in both, because become a member, and then you can get involved by being on a committee. And that will really help with your leadership growth and responsibility growth as well. And then that kind of primes you for a board seat.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That's what I'm doing. That's why I'm here.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are many working boards, so they're all not just high-end check writing jobs. So lots of special.
I can afford to be on those ones.
Yeah. It's lots of fun. And go Bills.
Right.
Okay. Well, unless there's really any last things to add, I really want to thank everyone for their time today and sharing your expertise about how you came to be and giving advice and giving inspiration to young professionals today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you for having me.